clearly the momentum is for some kind of announcement. The question is, how durable is it? Because there's still a very wide gap between the two sides on the key issues. And it's important to remember, this is not the end of a process of negotiating. This is the beginning. There's been very little substance discussed between the trade negotiators on the two sides. So what happens now is you're going to enter some kind of quite time-delimited negotiation period, and then it's going to get down to the substance, and it's going to be very difficult. And you're going to have hardliners like Lighthizer, Navarro, telling the president, "Look, this is not a good deal." You're going to have Democrats, Schumer and Wyden and Brown came out earlier this week to tell Trump not to accept a weak deal. So I think it's going to be important to look through any announcement and recognize that there's a very substantial chance that this is not going to be durable and could break down maybe fairly quickly.
I've seen a lot of your comments, but it was before this Lighthizer thing.
Right.
How does that factor into?
So what Joe's referring to is last night I said I refuse to predict that there's going to be, because it's impossible to predict, but clearly it's leaked to every single paper that there is a framework for a deal on the table. Lighthizer saying he'd be surprised if this was not a success. So clearly they're walking into this with some kind of agreement in place. President Trump goes to a dinner. He can be unpredictable, so that's what we wait to see what he ultimately decides.
My one question on this, what's the definition of success?
Absolutely.
What does that mean?
Well, I think Mike raises a great point, which is no matter what happens today, our differences with China, at least to me, appear irreconcilable. Xi's vision of what he wants for China does not work with what we want out of them. He cannot bring the two together. We want them to stop stealing intellectual property. That is part of their business model. State-owned enterprises, at the behest of the government, do this to try to improve their economy. How are they going to solve that?
Here's a question, though. What if they say this is a deal with a long time frame, where we say, by the year 2025, we'll stop stealing intellectual property because we'll have it all, and then we'll be the ones who want to protect it?
I don't think this administration would fall for that at all, not with people like Lighthizer in there. Here's something important to understand about the Chinese. I spent 2 days at the University of Chicago with lots of Chinese officials, lots of Nobel Prize-winning economists, because I have a lot of them there, and the Chinese are completely flummoxed about this idea of intellectual property. And they're like, what are you talking about? That was the deal. When you started investing in China, we gave you market access in exchange for you bringing us know-how and technology to help our very poor country. And by the way, they say we're still a very poor country and we still need the help.
Michelle, doesn't it run deeper than that, though, in as much as the core economic philosophy, political philosophy of the U.S. is individual liberty and property rights? And
absolutely.
That doesn't exist in China.
Exactly.
Eamon Javers, I think we can get back to join this conversation. I wanted to get his take on the Lighthizer comments, given that he is on the ground. Eamon, are you with us?
I am with you, Andrew. Sorry, we're having a little bit of technical communications difficulty here in Argentina. But look, Robert Lighthizer is speaking to reporters just across town from where we're standing, clearly intending to send an optimistic signal there. Whether that indicates, as Michelle's just been talking about, that there is some pre-baked deal behind the scenes, I'm not sure. I don't have any indication of that. Maybe that is the case, though. But nonetheless, it's clear that the administration is trying to send a positive signal going into that dinner. And it's all going to really depend on Donald Trump and the political calculus he makes, and also Xi Jinping and the political calculus he makes domestically as well. Trump might be eager to have a big win here, but the question is, what could they actually agree to that would be dramatic and substantive? If anything, it could be this trade truce that people are talking about, which is simply hold off on new tariffs and negotiate over the next coming months.
I mean, and this goes down to the definition of what success is, right? I mean, success could just be a handshake and a picture, and we're going to continue having this conversation. And by the way, I think the markets might even actually consider that success.
Oh, I think the markets would consider it a success if they announce a ceasefire on tariffs today. We're going to wait on the January 1.
Except that I'm afraid to say what will really happen is, yes, the market in the immediate aftermath will like that. And then they're going to say, you just created a whole new round of uncertainty, and we have no idea what's going to happen. And then you're going to hear earnings, or the next earnings calls for a handful of companies are going to say, we don't really know what to do. We're still waiting. And we're back to the.
But to the degree that you cover a retailer, for example, as an analyst, and okay, January 1, the price of X goods will not go up as much as we thought, that, you know, that feeds directly into the bottom line of some companies, right? So you'll see some direct impact there. But you're right. You're talking about all the bigger issues that we've been raising here. How do you solve those?
Well, but Andrew, you raise a good point, which is there's a lower level threshold for success here, which is just smiles, nods, handshakes, pleasantries all around, but nothing at all announced. That's the other possibility you could be looking at tomorrow. Is a very good dinner. Everyone comes out and says, you know, we had a robust and strong engagement, all the usual things that they say diplomatically, but they don't actually announce anything specific. So that could be the very low bar for what a successful dinner might look like.